Leroy Van Dyke's signature song, The Auctioneer. You actually are or were, or are you still a card-carrying auctioneer?
It's like riding a bicycle. If you ever were, you are a bicycle rider, and same thing with this. You know, I've been an auctioneer since 1951, which is several years longer than I've been doing this for a living. And it's like a lot of you, you know, you connect up with one song that does something for you, and it changes your life completely. This started when I was about 9 years old. I grew up on a farm, and I'd been to a lot of farm auctions with my dad, but wasn't particularly impressed until one day he took me to a cattle sale at Sedalia, Missouri, where the Missouri State Fair is. The auctioneer that day just pinned my hide to the wall. I'd never heard anything like it. He was like a .30 caliber machine gun. And at that moment I said, I have got to learn how to do that, which I did right after my junior year of college at the University of Missouri, and then went to Korea. And while I was in Korea, sat down and wrote the story of that guy's life. His name was Ray Sims. At the time, I didn't even know we were related, but he's a second cousin of mine. The only thing in the song that's not true was the use of the term Arkansas. I couldn't find anything to rhyme with Missouri. There is no word to rhyme with Missouri. So it's a true life story of Ray Sims, who is still alive and well. He's retired from the auction business, but he's the best auctioneer that ever lived.
Well, now, do you have to have some kind of credentials to be an auctioneer? I mean, is this something you have to keep up your chops and get your card renewed like you're in the musicians union or something?
Oh, it depends on the state.
Continuing education.
Continuing education. No, some states don't even require a license or don't even require being educated for it. Some of them just pick it up from the neighbors or a local auctioneer. But some states now require that you've attended an auction school and that you also have an apprenticeship, which wasn't in force years ago. I am licensed and I'm bonded, and I'm available.
So if the music career hadn't worked out, you would have actually made your living as an auctioneer? That's
what I would have been doing full time. I still do both. About 65% of the agricultural events that I work, I take part in the 4-H and FFA sales. As a matter as recently as last weekend in West Palm Beach, as a matter of fact.
Well, lay a little of it on us.
Yeah, and I want you and you to pay attention, because you got to imitate this. You see, you got to study the mannerisms, and so get ready. Okay, huh? You're ready, and they're ready. It's kind of a love ballad. Hey, well, all real loud. Here we go. Hey, well, all right, sir, here we go there, and what are they going to give for? I'm at 25, to get 30 now, 5 for a bit of 5, and now 40 now, 5 for a bit of 5. It's done with mirrors. Honored to buy him there. There was a boy in Arkansas who wouldn't listen to his ma, and she told him he should go to school. He'd sneak away in the afternoon, take a little walk, then pretty soon you'd find him at the local auction barn. He'd stand and listen carefully, then pretty soon he began to see how the auctioneer could talk so rapidly. He said, oh my, it's Stuart, I've got to learn that auction cry, gotta make my mark and be an auctioneer. $25 bidder now, $30, 30 bid, give me 30, make it 30 bid, I'm on a $30 bill, give me 30, hooray, bid, $30 bid. $30 bidder now, 35, will they give me 35 to make it 35 to bid a 35? Who would have bid it at a $35 bid? As time went on, he did his best, and all could see he didn't jest. He practiced calling bid both night and day. His pap would find him behind the barn just working up an awful storm as he tried to imitate the auctioneer. Then his pap said, son, we just can't stand to have a mediocre man selling things at auction using our good name. I'll send you off to auction school, then you'll be nobody's fool. You can take your place among the best. $35 bidder, now the $40 bill, give me 40, make a 40 bidder on the $40 bill, give me 40, hooray, bidder, $40 bid. $40 bidder now, 45, will give me 45, to make it a 45 bidder to 45, who would have bid it at a $45 bid? So from that boy who went to school, there grew a man who played it cool. He came back home a full-fledged auctioneer. Then the people came from miles around to hear him make that rhythmic sound that filled their hearts with such a happy cheer. His fame spread out from shore to shore. He had all he could do and more. Had to buy a plane to get around. Now he's the tops in all the land. Let Paul give that man a hand. He's the best of all the auctioneers. 45 on the bidder, now the $50 bill. Give me 50, make a 50 bid on the $50 bill. Give me 50, hooray, bid a $50 bill. $50 bidder now, 55 bill. Give me 55 to make it a $55 bill. 55 sold that goat for the $50 bill. Hey, well, all right, sure, open the gate and let them out and walk 'em. Here we come, a lot number 29 in. What are they going to get for 'em? I'm at $600 down here, 19 and not 25 and not 35 and not 50 and not 60 and not 75, 85 and not 7, not 10 and not 25 and not 35, 50, 60, 75 and another mile there. Okay, your turn. You got to do it. Let's hear it. Bill, you know, you've got and others in this room have a tremendous track record of songwriters. As songwriters, I only wrote one song and then I quit while I was ahead. But songs are a part of your soul if you're a songwriter, even if it's one song. And I remember when I was trying to do something with this song, and I took it to some people, some high-powered disc jockeys and some radio station operators and some publishers, and none of them said it was commercial. One guy in Ohio, high-powered 50,000-watt disc jockey, radio station disc jockey, he said, well, it won't work. He said, it's not commercial. Rewrite it and call it Auction of Love. That would have been a sudden death deal. But the thing did work, and those things do change your... it changes your life completely. Yeah.
Johnny Counterfeit, can you do it? Did you watch him close enough?
Tell them what we did up at WSM one day.
Well, first of all, I'm going to need a little more time with that, like that rapid fire that he has there. So we were on Keith Bilbrey's show on WSM one morning, and Keith wanted me to do an impression of Leroy Van Dyke. And so we had it worked out to where...
No, the listeners didn't know that I had just walked into the studio. He had already done some imitations, you know, and Keith said, well, Johnny, why don't you do an imitation of LVD? He said, well, I'll try. So I sat down beside him, and I did that. It kind of blew their mind.
Yeah, and then Bilbrey says, well, that's not too bad.
You learn a lot about somebody when you sit next to them. It's something like our family reunion. I found out that Stonewall Jackson wrote one of his biggest hits for his wife when you were having an argument.
Yeah, that's right. And I was out on the road, like you get out and rent cars. Used to, you could drive up and then clean your windshield and dust off the dash and all that good stuff. I don't do none of that no more. Mostly gonna do it to cost extra, I guess. But anyway, I stopped at a service station like that, and while I was doing all that stuff, I was walking around, and we had some words before I left, you know, and of course we got back together and everything turned out okay. But I wrote While I'm Walking, and while I was just walking around in the gravel, and I didn't have no paper, pencil, went down the road singing it over and over and over so I wouldn't forget it. And I recorded it before I wrote it down on a piece of paper. And I gave a piece of paper that I wrote it on there later to the Hall of Fame. They kind of collecting a few things on guys. I want to mention one thing about it concerns this song too, the two country thing that we've been hammering away at traditional country music for a long time, and I played a show back when While I'm Walking was #1 in Billboard, and I went to a radio station. I mean, the radio station was putting the show on, and I walked up to one of the disc jockeys and I said, well, how's my record doing? And he said, well, I'm sorry, but we're not playing it. And that kind of set me back because I was headlining the show, and we had 12,000 people crowd there, and I was headlining the show, and so I know that's not a funny story, but it kind of fits in with your song. That's a great piece that you done a while ago.
Thank you. Did he say the reason he wasn't playing your record was because it was too country?
Said it was too country, yeah, like your thing. If you'd have heard that story way back then, I told someone back there, I said he'd have wrote that song a long time ago if he'd heard me say that.
Sharon?
We had our hits in the 80s, and that's what some of the DJs said to us. I had no idea that they'd been saying it that many years. I thought we were the first ones.
We couldn't figure out how in the world you could get to country for country radio. I still don't get it. I'll never get it.
Yeah, and so I'm going to do another one of these songs that's too country, but it was in the pop charts, about 60 up in the charts. And,
Wow.
and even it was too country.
Too country and in the pop charts. I love that. Sing it, Walt.
I've got my angel on my mind, that's why I'm walking. There's such an ache in this old heart, Lord, I ain't talking. The little hand that held mine tight just waved goodbye tonight. I've got her sweet love on my mind, that's why I'm walking. And with an old love on your mind, life's not worth living. I breathe her name with every breath I'm breathing. Why could I never see how much she meant to me? I've got her sweet love on my mind, that's why I'm walking. Should I pass you on the street and I miss speaking? Could you blame it on this memory I'm keeping? Should I have my head bowed low, hear my songs that you know? I've got her sweet love on my mind, that's why I'm walking. I've got an angel on my mind, that's why I'm walking. Thank you so much. I told somebody out there a while ago that I'm gonna call Juanita and tell her that her song finally made. I tell her call that her song, because she'll always ask me, said, "You gonna do my song tonight or not?" You know, and I plan on doing anything else. It's not quite good enough. But I was walking along out there and I was singing. I'm always singing. I get paid once in a while, you know, for it. But I sing all the time. And I was singing while I'm walking behind Chet. And Chet said, "Man, I love that song." You know? So that song finally made it, Chet. I appreciate that song.
You know, I got to say one thing about Stonewall. He's that kind of a writer, like he got mad with his wife. Him and I and Hank Jr., and he was only 14 years old at the time. And we were on a trip.
We wrote a song together.
Wrote a song together, and Stonewall had polished down boots. I mean, you could see yourself in them. And as he walked out the door, he went and spit, and then went right on that boot.
Instead of the trash can, it went right on my boot.
Yeah.
And
he said, "I went to all that trouble for nothing."
And Hank was standing behind me. You,
I
let's
was,
write that.
right? Yeah, and we wrote it. And I found the lyrics, some of it just the other day. My wife did.
We need to pitch that.
Yeah, we sure do.
Hey, Stonewall, that song wasn't too country, it's too pop. If it went pop, huh?
Yeah. I told Don Hams. I said I seen him downtown after I got back in off a trip. I said, "Well, I can't use you no more." He said, "Man, why? You know, I love playing with you." I said, "You went pop on me."
Well, Charlie, if Why I'm Walking was too country, what would they say about Who'll Buy the Wine?
Well, when this song was out and doing good on jukeboxes and everything, a singer that was popular back then was Rusty Draper. I know some of you guys remember him. He was one of these celebrity golf tournaments, and back then all these guys on the senior tour now, I was playing golf with them all the time, making all these celebrity tournaments. And Billy Maxwell told me they were in a hotel in Las Vegas during the Sahara Invitational, I think it was, and said he told Rusty Draper, said, I've got a song that I just wrote, and Charlie Walker in Nashville has recorded it. And, of course, Draper never heard it. He sung him this song. Said Draper got down on the floor and was kicking his feet up in the air. It drove him crazy. But it was just one of those little shuffled Texas things. But it's got some lyrics in it that I can see why maybe a pop singer might have. Who'll buy the wine? All right, let's do it. Texas style. Ago you held our baby's bottle, but the one you're holding now's a different kind. You just sit and wait to be somebody's baby, and it all depends on who will buy the wine. Whoever sets them up and tips the waitress, kissing. And it all depends on who will buy the wine. The kind of life you're living since you've left me, I'm sure it's not the life you thought you chose. That honky-tonky world is not so flashy. Bright lights and booze is all it really knows. Whoever sets them up and tips the waitress, your kind of love just might as well be blind. You'll never know whose lips you'll soon be kissing. And it all depends on who will buy the wine. And it all depends on who will buy the wine.
Hey, Charlie, before you put the microphone up, great job. Somebody was telling me a while ago that there's a list somewhere of 10 country songs that are the most politically incorrect.
I have two.
And you got 2 of them on the list. What are they?
One of them was Tell Her Lies and Feed Her Candy. If you remember the lyrics of that song. Anyway, and Walter Winchell had an article in his column that there was a song out of Nashville now by Charlie Walker, Tell Her Lies and Feed Her Candy, said, I predict it'll be a hit in Russia. This was about the time Korea and all this, the Cold War. I couldn't figure out what he was talking about. But when I was a disc jockey in San Antonio, began to get letters from GI said that they were using it as a propaganda song on Moscow radio. And they would play that, and it said, see, they teach their kids to lie in the United States. And then they would play Pistol Packin' Mama by Al Texter about this gal shooting her buddy. And then, so anyway, that was, and then the other one was, I wouldn't take her to a dog fight. And it's got a line there, I wouldn't take her to a dog fight even if she had a chance to win. So you figure that.
Slightly politically incorrect.
A little bit, yeah.
Bobby Lord, Crystal Gale's a tough act to follow. But you can do it with Pie Peachy Pie Pie. You know?
You really want to hear Pie Peachy?
Just a little bit of it, and then I want you to sing a serious
Does anybody
song.
have a guitar and a pick? We might as well get this over with. The band doesn't have to play because it would be a shame if you missed the lyrics. You guys might cover it up. I'll just do this by myself. Pie, peachy pie, pie, please won't you be my pie, peachy pie, pie, baby. My, we could fly high if you could be my pie, peachy pie, pie, baby. Gee, you're a Lulu. Let's make the woo-woo. You drive me cuckoo, baby. Pie, peachy pie, pie, please won't you be my pie, peachy pie, pie, baby.
I take back everything I ever said about Peel Me a Nanner.
Thank you. Chad, what would you have done if somebody had brought that song to you?
I think Boudleaux played that for me.
Yeah, Boudleaux Bryant wrote
He
it.
wrote it, and you know, I'm the only. He told me on his deathbed that I'm the only person he'd ever written with except Felice. And what a compliment! We wrote Midnight and a couple of others that did well. How's the world treating you? Yeah.
Wow. Goodness.
You didn't ever write with him, did you?
No, I wish I could have. I idolized him. You know, back in those days, Chet, if you didn't write for the same publishing company, you know, when I first came to town, you had to write for the same company. They wouldn't split the songs.
Well, that's the only way I could ever make it with a writer, as a writer, was to write with a great writer like Boudleaux Bryant.
Well, now, did you write like the melody and he write the lyrics, or did you write?
Yeah, something like that. I usually had a melody, and maybe I'd contribute a line here or there, but not much. It's like when I first came here, Fred Rose told Hank Williams, this is Chet Atkins, that he's trying to write. And so one day Hank said, let's go out and see if you can knock out a couple. And I was so in awe of him that I couldn't write anything. But we went out to his house, and he introduced me to Audrey, said, this is my barometer. Said, if she likes it, it's a good song. And so we tried to write something, but nothing came of it. I wish I had our efforts at least, but I don't.
I can't imagine Chad Atkins being in awe of anybody. You were in awe
of Hank Williams. Yeah, he was so big when I came here, you know. He was, and I saw him, he was so skinny and those black-looking eyes, you know, and I thought, that's Hank Williams. I want his autograph.
Wow. Did you play on any of his records?
Played on all of them after I moved here as just rhythm. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I saw a list of those tunes that he recorded. I think I moved here in June 1950. And my name's not on a lot of them. And I don't know if it's somebody forgot to put it down or what. But that's something historians like Bob Orman can take up. And say, Chet said he played on all these till Hank died.
I think you are listed on the Jambalaya session and a couple of
Kalijah.
And
on a lot of, I just played dead string rhythm. And once in a while, me and Sammy Pruitt would play a little duet. But you know, the guy, a wonderful guy that I still love is the steel player, Don Helms. What a funny dude he is. Yeah. He is.
We need to get Don on one of these reunion shows with us. He's got a lot of stories. Yeah. But now, when you were playing guitar, you said rhythm guitar. Now, when Hank recorded, they didn't use drums on sessions back then, did they?
No, tic-tac guitar, they call it, replaced drums. We used drums on one side with Hank, and it was Kalijah. And I remember they had a hell of a time getting the sound on that tom-tom that they used on the record.
What was it that made Hank Williams stand out above everybody else at that time?
He had just an abundance of confidence in his work.
Did he? You worked with so many of the greats. Talk about Jim Reeves. You produced all of Jim Reeves' hits, didn't you?
Yeah, most of them. He was, you know, they talk about Gentleman Jim and all that. He'd knock your teeth out if you...
You and Jim got in a fight?
Oh, you sure did. But me and Farron was out west, and we ended a tour out there. Me and him and Farron. So we decided to let the boys come on back with the bus and everything. And we rented us a big, nice car, you know, and we just going to drive all the way back. So we're coming across there, and you know, I drank a little myself back then, and Farron drank a little more, and Jim drank a little more. So he got some idea. He was in the back, and we was in the front. Farron was driving, and so he got some idea I'd made fun of his hair piece, you know. And he said, I want Farron to stop this car, or I'm gonna beat the hell out of you. And I always thought like Gentleman Jim. He loaned me his guitar, you know, when I first come here, because I didn't have a guitar. I made most of my first appearances with Jim Reeves on my guitar, and so. Farron said, well, I'll just stop and let y'all settle that. So we got outside, and just luck would have it, you know, like some of those Mamel Tillis things, you know, we stopped right on a cliff like thing that goes way down there. And he got out there, and he got going, you know, like he don't, and he took a swing at me, and he throwed himself plumb down that hill. and so his tube went one way, and he went the other. So me and Farron went back down there and got him back in the car. And by the time we got him back in the car, he had forgot all about what he was mad about.
Now, Roy Acuff used to ask you to imitate him, didn't he?
Oh, well, he'd tell every time I go by his dressing room, which is number one, he said, who you doing tonight? I said, Roy, I'm doing Johnny Cash. He said, well, do the best you can. If I said, I'm going to do you tonight, Roy, he said, well, make me look good there, boy.
What about Tater? Is he like for you to imitate him?
Oh, Tater loves it. Tater loves it. Oh, Lord, Roy, they'll never see us again. on the Opry. Leroy Van Dyke. He's usually got his glasses on, but he used to have.
So what you do is you take their mannerisms and then you exaggerate them a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's part of what you do.
Yeah, you exaggerate them a lot.
Well, Del Reeves, you've done a lot of clever songs, not necessarily funny songs. You've done a lot of very, very clever songs, including the biggest hit that I guess you ever had.
Dee-doo-dee-doo-doo. I do-do-do-do-do. Who is the girl wearing nothing but a smile and a towel in the picture on the billboard in the field near the big old highway? Rolling down the highway in my Jimmy hauling freight from Chicago to St. Louis. I see her every day. A double clutch and weasel like me can hardly ever get a girl to look at him that way. Smiling like the girl wearing nothing but a smile and towel in the picture on the billboard in the field near the big old highway. Wow, what a girl wearing nothing but a smile and towel in the picture on the billboard in the field near the big old highway. I bet it wouldn't take her very long to be gone if someone would pull a dirty trick and take her towel away. I slow McKimmy down 20, that's how many wrecks I see there every day. Caused by the girl wearing nothing but a smile and towel in the picture on the billboard in the field near the big old highway. I do-do-do-do-do. I do-do-do-do-do. Doggone that girl wearing nothing but a smile and a towel in the picture on the billboard in the field near the big old highway. Sleepy-headed painter said the girl wasn't real. Better get the on my way. On that. On the Route 66, the billboard to Chicago, you'll find tiny pieces of my heart scattered ever with your way. Shattered by the girl wearing nothing but a smile and towel in the picture on the billboard in the field near the big old highway. I do-do-do-do-do. I do-do-do-do-do. Everybody, come on. Do-do-do-do-do. You getting it now. I do-do-do-do-do. That's the way you do it, Chad, you know. Do-do-do-do-do. I do-do-do-do-do. You all know it.
So you're saying if you forget the words, just doodle-doo-doo-doo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, when we was growing up, we didn't have anybody to second. We call it, you know, second us. Yeah. So so you'd go, you know. And I was trying to be a fiddle player like Chet was. Then you go do diddle do diddle do diddle 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 do diddle 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 do diddle 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 do. And that's
where it came from.
Dale, wasn't there some story about trying to get Dolly Parton to pose for the Billboard?
She did. She was, Hubert Long got her to pose. Of course, she had a bathing suit on under a towel. And she wrapped a towel around her, and that was the first one.
Are you sure?
No, Chet, I'm not really sure, but wait a minute. Let me say this. Hubert Long said she did. And that's the only thing that I can tell you.
Is this before anybody knew who Dolly was? Or?
This was, well, she's only singing demos at Moss Rose. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Charlie Louvin and his brother Ira, I guess, kind of defined country harmony for years as the Louvin Brothers. Charlie, what was it? You hear people talk, even today, they'll say, give me some of that Ira Louvin harmony. What was so different and so special about what he did and what y'all did together?
I don't know if Ira was here. I don't know if he could explain that to you or not. We was raised in a part of the world that they had the shape notes, the fa sol las. They call it sacred harp music. It's alive only in a couple of 3 states, and a lot of the young people aren't picking up on it. It's kind of like our music. And so every year there's fewer and fewer people that sing that kind of music, but they had harmonies that would blow your mind, and we was raised around that. So Ira never sang what a educated musician would call tenor. I know that several people questioned him, what part are you singing there? And he said, you don't like it? And the guy, Ken Nelson would say, no, I didn't say I didn't like it. I just asked you what it was. I said, well, I don't know what it is. I just do what I think sounds right. And so that's how we came into the switcheroo, switching parts like we did.
Didn't Ira, he said one time, he just squared the notes off. He just squared them off.
Yeah, well.
Like instead of going down, he would just.
Well, I don't want to take up a lot of the time because I know that everybody's having fun and there's lots more of us here.
I know it was wonderful harmony.
My daddy was bugged a lot by the singing school teacher close to our house, 5 miles. He would teach singing school. It was a two-week singing school every year, and he kept bothering Papa about you should send them boys over there so that they'll know what they're singing about. And he bugged Papa so much that finally my daddy said he agreed. It was expensive. It cost $1 a day per guy, That's $14 a week for 2 weeks. At $28 in the 30s, not in the 30s, that was a lot of money. But my daddy dug it up somewhere, and he gave it to us to go to singing school with. We got as far as the grocery store, and we bought some candy and a few smokes. Along with 3 or 4 other guys, we headed for the woods. We knew what time that the singing school was over, so we'd drift back into the house about time that we should get there, And the second day, though, my daddy ran into this singing school teacher. He said, Colonel, he said, I thought you was going to send your boys to that school. And Pop said, well, he just made some excuse, And when he came home that evening and we drifted in out of the woods, we had a huge surprise. He got us for not going to school, for wasting the money, and lying how well we liked the school that we never went to.
Well, you made a great career, of course, with you and Ira. And Ira was killed in, 1965?
Father's Day, 65.
And you took out on a solo career and had a lot of hit records. Sing one of your songs for us.
No, I'm gonna sing a Bill Anderson song if you don't mind.
Well, I mind.
The other day we were cutting the bluegrass thing, and Mac Wiseman wouldn't let anybody sing unless he published a song. He every time somebody said, "I'm gonna sing so and so," Mike, you could see Mac thinking, and they would say, "Oh, you got half publishing on this." He said, "Okay, you can do it." I don't have any publishing on this, but I do want to thank Bill Anderson and all you beautiful people. Chet Atkins cut the first record we ever cut. Well, not the MGM thing. I mean, the Decca thing. You didn't do that. But Chet did all the gospel music up through 1955, and including When I Stopped Dreaming. And then we found a boy that ate and slept that stuff, called Chet Atkins, Paul Yandel, and Paul is today playing with Chet, and he's a happy camper. I'll tell you,
yeah,
Chet.
He's
where he lives with Chet Atkins. So I'll thank all y'all for allowing me to be in the business for this long. And Bill Anderson started my career with the first song I had was "I Don't Love You Anymore," and. Then on down just a little farther, we recorded Sweet Texas, and this song that Bill sings that he gives his band a chance to play on once in a while. I Don't Have Any Place to Go. I recorded that, Bill. You know that?
I know that.
And then about 1965, I guess it was, or maybe 66, I recorded this one. We hope that you'll remember it's one of the greatest songs Bill Anderson ever sprouted. Think I'll go somewhere and cry myself to sleep. I just kissed the one I love for the last time. Never have her soft lips been so sweet. But now she's gone away and won't be back forever. Think I'll go somewhere and cry myself to sleep. I'll go somewhere and cry myself to sleep. Not because I'm sad, but God knows I'm weak. I can't stand the thought of life alone without her. I know where I'm at, Jim. Think I'll go somewhere and cry myself to sleep. Then just before she said goodbye, she called me darling. Then she slowly ran her fingers down my cheek. Lord, I just knew when she said she still loved me. Think I'll go somewhere and cry myself to sleep. I'll go somewhere and cry myself to sleep. Not because I'm sad, Lord knows I'm weak. And I can't stand the thought of life alone without her. Think I'll go somewhere and cry myself to sleep. Think I'll go somewhere and cry myself to sleep. Thanks to Carol Lee and the Whites. And Janie Seeley, too, if you singing then.
I think everybody was singing, Charlie. Thank you. Johnny Russell, get us in a happy mood.
You redneck, you.
Well, I'll tell you what. When I don't need that. Yeah, go ahead. Just try to play what I'm singing. When I first met Chester, it's 1959, and he told me, he said, if you'll wait a while, I'll put you on RCA. 13 years later, I walked in his office, and I said, do you think I've waited long enough? But he had done a lot for me during that time. He had gotten me with different people and things, and he went ahead, told Jerry Bradley to get a budget together and everything for me to record. And I was talking to Jerry, and Jerry told me, he said, now you got to go in there and tell Chet that you want him to produce you, because he wants to produce you. And I said, well, I'm scared to do it with Chet. I don't know if I can do it around Chet. He said, well, he wants you to ask, so you better go ask him. So for 2 days, I put it off, and I finally went in there and I said, Chet, would you produce me? And he said, no, I ain't got time. But he wanted Jerry to have a chance to. Jerry hadn't started making records then, and he wanted Jerry to do it, and so we did it. And we kept recording songs. We finally recorded a song, and Jack Johnson was Charlie Pride's manager. And I had this song, and I told him I was going to record it, and he said, you'll never sing it on a Charlie Pride show. And I was working with Charlie at the time. He said, that song is racial. And I couldn't understand what he's talking about. But we went ahead and recorded it, and he said, you better not put it out because it ain't going to be a hit, and it ain't going to do nothing, and you're stupid to put it out, and Charlie ain't going to like it. So we got together, and we talked, and we decided, we went into Chet's office, and we said, Chet, we have this song, and we really feel like it's going to be a hit, but they tell us Chet, that Charlie ain't going to like it, so we don't know what to do. And Chet, in his wisdom. So we'll call him and ask him. Very simple. So sitting at Chet's desk, we called Charlie and asked him. And all Charlie said to me was, "Do you think it's a hit?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, then put it out." But I never was allowed to sing it on Charlie's show, not because of Charlie, but because of his manager. It was #1. And we were in Kansas City, and people were standing out in the audience hollering for me to do the song. And I looked over at Charlie's manager, and he said, "No, I told you you'd never sing it on Charlie Pride's show, and you don't." And I wanted to hit him and still want to hit him. But anyway.
Well, you can sing it here.
All right, thank you very much. Is it in E? Is it that the key we're doing? There's no place that I'd rather be than right here with my redneck, white socks and blue ribbon beer. The barmaid is mad 'cause some guy made a pass. The jukebox is playing, there stands a glass. The cigarette smoke kinda hangs in the air. Rednecks, white socks and blue ribbon beer. Well, a cowboy is a cussin' the pinball machine. A drunk at the bar, getting noisy and mean. Some guy on the phone says, "I'll be home soon, dear." Rednecks, white socks and blue ribbon beer. We don't fit in with that white collar crowd. Little too rowdy and a little too loud. No place that I'd rather be than right here with my redneck, white socks and blue ribbon beer. There's no place that I'd rather be than right here with my redneck, white socks and blue ribbon beer. I will tell you that Charlie kept telling me, "Sing that song." And every time, his manager would say, the band even learned it. Charlie's band learned it and everything, but he wouldn't let me do it.
I listened very closely. I couldn't hear anything in there that would be a racial song.
But
well, it became an anthem of sorts.
Yeah, well, see, the problem was I had a manager at the time that believed everything his manager said was the way it ought to be.
Well, Charlie finally fired Jack.
Yeah, because of Rednecks. Not the song, Rednecks.
That's right. Rednecks are just guys that work out in the sun.
That's right. That's a guy
sun gets on his back.
Yeah, riding around on tractors and things.
That's right.